Take a look at the Lakers offseason so far. Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Trez, Harrell, Alex Caruso, Headband Man, they're all out. Westbrook, Ariza, Bazemore, Ellington, Howard are in for the purple and gold. So I got to bring in two Fox NBA analysts for this one. Chris Broussard and Slick Rick the Bucher. So let's start with you, Slick. How should we feel about the Lakers right now?
I'm going to go, if I have to use one word, I'm going to say deja vu. I feel as if what they are trying to do is recapture what they had 2 years ago in terms of the chemistry and the structure of the team. First of all, you're bringing back a bunch of guys that we've already seen in Lakers uniforms before, and Trevor Ariza and Kent Bazemore and Dwight Howard. But it's also that idea that veterans with something to prove may be a little bit better than last year's team. And yes, 2 years ago, they were the second oldest team in the league, and last year they were the oldest team in the league. But they really relied on younger pieces last year more so than they did the year before, particularly when it got to the playoffs. So I understand what they're trying to do. Essentially what they're telling us is that even healthy, they were not buying that last year's team was good enough in order to win it all. Otherwise, they would have made a greater attempt to just run it back with what they had. They're trying to get back to what they had 2 years ago as a last gasp. Let's see if we can get a bunch of veterans that have something to prove and want to win a ring, get them together, and get one more shot at it with LeBron James and Anthony Davis before the clock really strikes midnight. I just am not buying that this is ultimately going to work, because the great distinction is with this older team, you're not going to get 3 months off before the playoffs in order for everybody to regenerate and then start their engines up again. So I get why they're doing what they're doing, and I don't know that they had a better option to go to. But if you're asking me whether it's deja vu in terms of it's going to work the same way it did 2 years ago, I just believe that the circumstances are going to be too different for the same model to be successful.
Well, I'm looking at it like the Lakers should feel resurrected. Kind of with you, Slick, but I'm not focusing in on the age, because their leader is old, and LeBron James, who's going to be 37 next year. So when you talk about age, let's throw the birth certificates out the window. It's about trust. And LeBron is like, look, since I'm old, I know what I need to get it done, because I've gotten it done 4 times before. Now, if you want a number 5, if you want to complete this hand in terms of all fingers have a ring, you got to give me people I can trust, people that I can activate when necessary. Don't forget that the Lakers are still a damn good team. I think we got lost last year in the injuries in the regular season. It got lost because they lost to the up-and-coming Phoenix Suns, who became the Western Conference champions, who also were down 2-1 in a series to the same Lakers. But that injury bug came and struck again. So if you look at this team right now before injury, Lakers 21-7. That's with AD healthy. After that, 21-23. Completely different team. So LeBron sits back in the lab and starts to draw up a different team. He says, okay, we try to go with the youth. We try to trust in Kyle Kuzma, Mr. Melrose, he's gone. We're going to now trust the people that I know can respond to these moments, people that are champions. And he went out there and got him some guys that he can trust in these moments. The Lakers are for real. They got the mentality. They know that they have the best big 3 in the West. Think about it. All the teams in the West, including my Clippers, if you had to say the top 3 stars on one team, not even the Golden State Warriors, because we don't know about Klay Thompson and returning from injury. It has to be the Lakers. With that mentality that they were up on the Phoenix Suns, Western Conference champions, with the fact that their leader is still LeBron James, oh, they're ready to go out there and get it done now that they trust each other.
Well, after yesterday's moves, I feel the same way about the Lakers that I felt when the Russell Westbrook trade was made known. Intrigued, all right? I said earlier last season that the Brooklyn Nets were one of the greatest chemistry experiments in NBA history. Well, the LA Lakers, they make the Brooklyn Nets big 3 look like a match made in heaven. Heck, they make Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond look like a match made in heaven. All right, it all depends on how those big 3 pieces can work and fit together. What they did yesterday, though, I mean, I think that's what we all expected. We didn't know exactly who the individual players would be, but we figured this is the route that the Lakers are going to go. Number one, you know LeBron. Go back all the way to Miami. When LeBron started putting together big threes, he always wanted veterans who knew how to win, right? In Miami, he had guys like Mike Miller. Ray Allen saved the Miami Heat. Shane Battier, guys like that. Cleveland, Kyle Korver, and guys of that ilk. And then when they won it here, he had Danny Green and Rajon Rondo and all that. So this is more of the same. LeBron saying, look, I don't need the young guys that we have to teach how to win, the Kyle Kuzmas. We need veterans who are tunnel vision on a championship and are happy to play their role. So they went out and got shooters. All right, those three guys, Bazemore, Ellington, Trevor Ariza, kind of 3-and-D guys, good shooters. They're not scary good. All right, I think the Lakers' three-point shooting will pretty much be what it's been the last couple of years. A little below average. That's where they'll be. I get it that Bazemore and Ellington shot well last year from three, but, we've seen Wesley Matthews and other guys that have really shot it well elsewhere get streaky when they're on the big stage with LeBron, and I think that's what we'll see with this group of guys as well. And then to go get Dwight Howard, they're saying we're going to go big. All right, a lot of people want to go small. We missed Howard's muscle and athleticism. I know Andre Drummond was big, but he wasn't as mobile and athletic as Dwight Howard, so they're going for that again. So they did about what they could. If they could have gotten a Patty Mills or somebody like that, that would have been great. He's in Brooklyn. So, a so-so day for them. But it really all is going to depend on how well their big three meshes and how well Ellington, Bazemore, and the like can hit three-point shots.
So I guess we all agree in one sense that we understand why they did what they did. The distinction is, do we think it's going to work or how well it's going to work? And again, I'm going to go back to comparing to 2 years ago, which the great difference being, and Chris points this out, is that big three and how well they work together. With Rajon Rondo as the second playmaker, he was playing at a tempo that fit with an older team, with the Dwight Howards and the Jared Dudleys and the Danny Greens. And now you have a Russ Westbrook who does not play well that way. He plays better when he plays fast. And while you had an older team that you could rely on and that were experienced 2 years ago, during the regular season, the top minutes played, the guys that were higher in the rotation were the younger guys. They got them to the finish line, and then in the playoffs, you saw the Rondos and the Danny Greens step up and play more minutes. They really don't have that equation this time around. So that's where I see the distinction. And yes, LeBron James has guys that he can trust. But are they going to be so much better offensively with this crew that it makes up for the fact that they lost so much defensive talent? The three guys that received all defensive team votes, Alex Caruso, Schroeder, and KCP, are all out the door. And they're not being replaced by guys that are capable of playing that kind of defense. This is where I think that, yes, LeBron has guys that he can orchestrate and that he knows they're going to give him a certain something on a consistent basis. But LeBron James is at a point in his career now where he needs more than that. He needs guys that aren't just going to fill roles, but they are going to contribute energy and finite things in a different way. And unless Anthony Davis is staying healthy all year long, and again, this is where there's going to be more on Anthony Davis to do more energy-wise, effort-wise. Does that compromise his ability to stay healthy? I understand the formula. I'm just not convinced that it's going to work.
Man, I got to earn my money today because I'm up here defending the Lakers harder than both of you guys combined. Slick Rick, I love you so much, but I don't trust you at all in this moment. We asked for one word.
Wow.
And then my boy Chris Broussard said intrigued. I said resurrected. You said deja vu. That ain't one word. That's two words. So already I'm off on your take. But then we gonna go.
I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be one word too. You know.
I was wondering, is that one or two?
There's a space in it, but I think it's considered one word.
It could be. He went to the Ivy League.
It's French. Who knows?
Yeah, but you know what I don't trust, whether deja vu is one word or two words, is that you want to put Russell Westbrook in the mindset, in the frame that is not consistent with the evidence. Here's the thing about Russell Westbrook. Everyone says, well, he can't shoot. Okay, I understand that. But you know where he shot his highest field goal percentage? In Houston. In Houston, what? Off ball. Okay, Russell Westbrook off ball actually is more efficient than on ball. Interesting, because LeBron James is in the building. Could Russell Westbrook be efficient once again off ball? Maybe. His rebounds suffered in Houston. His assists suffered in Houston. Well, we actually want his assists to suffer in L.A. because LeBron James is in the building. Let's talk about the three-point percentage, because a lot of times we talk about that, and you made some great points in terms of, well, they've had shooters come in before and weren't as effective. Well, you bring in Wayne Ellington, who shot 42%. You bring in Bazemore, who shot 40%. And that was an issue for the Lakers last year. Look at the Lakers, 21st in the league in three-point percentage last year, 24th in attempts, in a world where everyone's trying to shoot the three-pointer. So I don't know how many minutes you're talking about for Ellington and Bazemore, but in terms of efficiency, we see a more efficient Russell Westbrook off ball. We see Ellington and Bazemore as shooters. All that adds up to me in terms of impact. They're going to have impact where LeBron James wants to fit them on this squad. Westbrook off ball, be efficient. Bazemore, Ellington, shoot this ball, win, pass the ball. All that adds up to a Lakers team that was already better in one series than the Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns before injury. Maybe they could return to that place, resurrect, and be even better.
Marcellus, and I think Rick knows this by the look on his face, you are playing fast and loose with some facts, all right, my man?
A little bit.
First of all, just because they were up 2-1 doesn't mean they were better than the Phoenix Suns. And I picked them. I thought they would have won two if they were healthy, but that's not fair because Milwaukee was down 2-0 in two of the series that they came back to win. So were your Clippers, so you know better than that. And then to talk about Westbrook being better off the ball in Houston, shooting a higher percentage, that is because Houston, of course, spread the floor with a bunch of shooters. They got rid of Clint Capella, and so that lane was wide open. And Westbrook, they begged him, instead of shooting the three, Russ, when you get the pass from Harden, drive. All right, so if he does that, I'm with you. That's what he's got to do when LeBron James draws the double team and feeds Westbrook. He's got to drive. The difference is, as I said, that lane was wide open in Houston. It won't be with the Lakers, especially now they got Dwight Howard in addition to Anthony Davis. So it's going to be a little bit different for Westbrook with the Lakers. But look, I'm not down on them. I mean, I'm intrigued. I really am. I've said I'm giving them a puncher's chance, and I'm giving them a little bit better than a puncher's chance. And here's why. Excuse me. The Western Conference, this benefits the Lakers. There is no world beater in the West.
Right.
Okay, the Clippers, I don't expect to see Kawhi Leonard next year. All right, he's going, even if he comes back late, who knows how he'll play initially. So let's move the Clippers out. Phoenix, Utah, Dallas, Denver. I'll throw Golden State in that batch. Coming up at the rear is Portland. They're good, right? They're not scary. None of them are frightening anybody. And so the West is not what it has historically been. And so if the Lakers can work it out with these three, then sure, they can get to the finals and meet probably Brooklyn or Milwaukee. But it's going to be intriguing. I want to see Russ not only not selling for the three, but I want to get him moving off the ball. He could be great cutting to the basket with a guy like LeBron who will find him for layups and backdoor cuts. If he'll do it, let's see if Russ will do it.
Okay, well, let's move off Russell Westbrook and his efficiency with the Lakers based off of his Houston experience and talk about the future with the Lakers because there's breaking news right now that Carmelo Anthony is now a Los Angeles Laker. Carmelo Anthony, who shot from the three-point line 41% last year. So I ask you two right now, is Carmelo Anthony a good fit for the Lakers?
Well, thank goodness they got some young legs in there. I mean, finally, they've switched direction, and they're adding they're building the 2015 All-Star team, and what are we doing? Look, again, it's a nice piece, and I love how Carmelo has resurrected his career and is appreciated for what he's doing. But the big thing here is, to Chris's point about the West, yes, there's no team to beat there. There's nobody that the Lakers look at and go, well, we can't match up with them. But there's also a half a dozen teams that are more likely to get to the finish line intact than the Lakers are, again, simply because of the age and the speed with which the game is played today. LeBron and AD couldn't get to the finish line last year in a 72-game season. And yes, I know we had a shortened offseason, but they added a lot of pieces that didn't play all the way to the end in the bubble. So that argument quite doesn't work. It's not, if you were telling me this was a 25-game season and now we're going to go into a best-of-5 tournament, I'd say, you know what? I like the Lakers' chances. But to go 82 games and then to play 20 more, 25 more in the postseason, I just don't see the lasting power with this Lakers team to get there to the finish line.
Yeah, look, I like Carmelo. I mean, Rick's right. He really has, improved his three-point shot and even worked his game around shooting that shot. That's what they had him doing in Portland. So that's a nice addition for what this team is. But earlier, Rick talked about the pace that Westbrook wants to play at. I'm concerned about his fit with LeBron because LeBron likes to play slow and deliberate, and Westbrook wants to play fast and hectic, even in the half court. Now, who on that team is running with Russell Westbrook? I mean, seriously, nobody on that squad is running with Russell Westbrook. So that is going to be interesting to see how he adjusts his game and they adjust their game to him. So, look, the Lakers, I mean, as I said, nobody in the West is scary good, so they have to feel good about their chances. You would, in theory at least, Westbrook can take some of the physical toll off of LeBron and AD, so you hope they can get to the playoffs intact. But look, and I've talked about Father Time tapping LeBron on the shoulder. It's not so much in his game. Yeah, you see a little bit of the athleticism gone, but his game is still top-notch. But it's the injuries. 2 of his 3 years in L.A., he's gotten hurt with season-ending injuries, and the 1 year that he didn't, he had a 4-month layoff. And AD, we know he's been injury-prone throughout his career. So the biggest challenge, in addition to fitting the pieces together, is going to be, can these guys stay healthy? And I think the best way for them to play, I know when Westbrook and AD and LeBron met at LeBron's house, they talked about LeBron playing the power forward, AD at center. I like AD at center, but I like LeBron at the point. I think LeBron's mentality this year with this group should be, I'm going to be the Magic Johnson of the crew. I think he needs to try to make sure AD and Russell Westbrook get theirs, because LeBron will get his 20-plus points just by being on the floor for 30-some-odd minutes. In the half court, he is the smartest decision maker. Westbrook can push it in transition if anybody runs with him, and Westbrook can have that second unit with the ball in his hands. But when LeBron's on the floor, I want him as the primary decision maker and Westbrook cutting and moving off the ball.
What's up, Slick?
So what are we doing at the defensive end? Because I could see putting Carmelo at the 4 and playing LeBron at the 1 now that you have Melo. But defensively, you're asking LeBron to guard ones? You're asking Russ, who has lost a lot of lateral ability with all those knee surgeries and has never been that focused defensively. That to me is the great issue. I see where you can make it work offensively, and I like the idea of LeBron initiating things. But you're going to have people, for every missed shot, they're going to be running down your throat. Who's getting back to stop those fast breaks? That's where I see the Lakers being taken advantage of.
Oh, come on, y'all. Let's evolve as a people. Come on, society. Let's stop talking about defense in the NBA. It's a make-or-miss league. And Slick tried to run this out last year against the Brooklyn Nets. Who's going to play defense? Well, nobody had to play defense until they got injured, because before that, they were making all their shots. The Lakers could be in a percentage where right now, look at their shooters. Ellington, Bazemore, Carmelo. The worst shoots 41% from three. Maybe they'll be making these shots this year. I'm not certain, but I know as an opponent, I would never get into any race and use as confidence that they won't finish the race. Like, I'm going to win. Why are you going to win, Marcellus? Oh, because they won't finish the race. Nah, you always have to assume that the other team is going to come fully ready. And if the Lakers come fully ready, at 21-7 last year when they were fully healthy, you add Westbrook with energy. Y'all are fathers. We all are fathers up here. You know about the kids. Go get that remote for me, because I ain't getting up off the couch. That's Westbrook to do all the little dirty work that no one else wants to do. You got your shooters. You got Ariza at 3-and-D and bench support coming off the bench, averaging 10 points a game last year. And Dwight Howard sitting there, boulders, shoulders, and boards. That's all we need. Add all that up. Look like the Lakers going to be something to reckon with. Second place in the West, right behind my Clippers.